Hello there, good morning. We're taking a look at First Chronicles chapter number 3 today, and it looks like we get to study a little bit about the family of King David, and then Solomon, and then his son Jeconiah. What we're going to take a look at is King David, and we're going to take a look a little bit about some of his children and talk a little bit about that today, because some of this stuff is just really fascinating. And to continue on yesterday's message, it's these people are in the heritage of Jesus. They're in the lineage of Jesus, and you'll see some of the stuff that goes on, and you'll see, and the point I'm eventually getting to is that there's no such thing as perfect people, or no such thing as a perfect family. And despite all of our shortfalls and all of our just misdeeds and all of our sin, God can still use us, and he does. And as a matter of fact, the people that we're talking about, God he came through their bloodline. So we're looking at David, and this corresponds back to 2 Samuel 11. You see, King David, how he got some of these offspring. Well, some of them come from a woman called Bathsheba. Bathsheba was married to a fellow by the name of Uriah. Uriah was a commander in David's army, and David was supposed to be out fighting one day, and he wasn't. Instead, he was in his palace, and he walked outside, and he saw Bathsheba bathing, and said, "Ooh, bring her to me." And he went ahead and had relations with her, and they had a child. And while his commander, Uriah, was out fighting, so David eventually sends him to his death. He puts him right on the front lines where he knows he's going to die, and it happens. And Bathsheba has a baby, and the baby dies. The baby is by King David. The baby dies. God actually takes the baby, it says in 2 Samuel 11. So you see, here's King David, known to be a man after God's own heart. God says that himself, that David was after his own heart. And he has sin in his life. It's the Lord forgives, but only if you ask him to and you turn away. The Lord will forgive, and the Lord will still use you. Jesus will still use you. The Holy Spirit will still use you. None of us are perfect. We all have issues. Let's look at some of David's children. We have Absalom. We're going to take a look at the story of Absalom, Amnon, and Tamar. Okay? Amnon and Absalom are half-brothers. And it says that 2 Samuel 13, that Tamar is Absalom's sister, which makes her half-sister of Amnon. Now, Amnon takes a liking to Tamar, and he deceives her, and he essentially rapes her. And now she becomes no good to anybody. She has to be, back in this culture, she's now no good. She can't marry, so she's put away. And I mean put away, I mean just sent away. And so a couple years down the road, Absalom turns around and murders Amnon for this. And this is this is in the lineage of Christ. This is all coming from the seed of David. And you see here why I picked these two stories is that you see the father, David, and the children. Maybe not, this wasn't dealt with properly, but it looks like that there are still consequences from David's sin with Bathsheba. Now, to prove to you that there are good things can come, that God can still use, it wasn't the holiest of situations, but they ended up marrying, and Bathsheba bore a son named Solomon. She bore other children as well from David, but bore a son named Solomon, and Solomon ended up becoming one of the wisest men ever known, probably the wisest man and the richest man ever known, and he honored the Lord most of his life as well. So, we all have messed up families. We all have opportunities to share the gospel, and we should. We shouldn't be embarrassed by any of it, by any of our past or any of our family's heritage or anything like that. It is what has made us who we are today. I don't, if you've heard my testimony, I don't have a very holy past, but you know what? All of those mistakes have made me who I am today. And all of everything that has happened in the past, everything that we're reading about here and studying these past couple days, and as we're looking at the lineage, we're learning that these people don't have the holiest of pasts either. And still, God came to the earth through them. So, how's God going to use you? Have a super day. I love you all.